Financial analysis is a reporting tool that allows you to configure three financial statements, the flow of funds, the balance sheet, and the income statement, into a format that allows you to see multiple periods side by side or the same period side by side with different filters applied to each column, such as a separate column for each project, or if you have multiple companies within that database, maybe a separate column for each company. You can also use financial analysis to create actual to budget comparisons. This video is intended as an overview of the financial analysis tool. To get to financial analysis, you would go to Reporting Tools and Financial Analysis, and that's going to take you to a screen that will either allow you to create a new analysis or highlight an existing one and open it by clicking the OK button. Both of them will take you to an analysis properties screen that allows you to give the analysis a name. It allows you to select a date range or change a date range. And I've only selected 1 year, but you can select multiple years. You can select which company or companies you want to include in the analysis if you have more than one in that database. And if you're using our fund accounting product, these would be equal to the fund. If you're going to be doing an actual to budget comparison, then you can also select which budget or budgets you want to import into this analysis. The reports will draw up with all of your account names on them, and if you want to have them show the account numbers, you'll just want to check this box at the bottom. I'm going to click OK and let it load the reports. When the reports load, you'll have a tab at the bottom for each report. So you'll have the flow of funds, the balance sheet, and the income statement. Any formatting changes you make will apply to all three of those tabs. The default format that's going to load is to have one column for each month of dates that you've selected in your date range. And you can see if you have multiple years selected, you could have quite a few columns. But don't worry, we have some formatting changes where we can change that. The menu options up at the top for either view and format will allow you to make changes to the layout of this report. Underneath the view menu, you can do things like show sense or not show sense. You can apply a filter to each column, such as filtering it by each project that you have or by a specific project. You can toggle between actual and budget data. Right now it's showing actual. You can toggle on your balance sheet between book value and fair market values. You can do things like hide 0 columns or hide 0 rows. You can display a quantity column for each period. You can change the detail level of what you're looking at. So if I want a more summarized level, I could go to the category level, and you can see it just summarized up everything at my account category level, but it still does give me the option to open up a specific account category and see the accounts underneath it. I'm going to go back to the more detailed level. So those are some of the things you can do on the view menu. The format menu really lets you change the layout of the columns. So we have some predefined layouts. Right now I'm in a monthly format, but I can choose a quarterly or an annual format, and selecting one of those allows you to say whether or not you want to choose actual or budget data, whether on your balance sheet you want book value or market value, and it allows you to apply a filter to all of the columns. I'm going to go ahead and click OK and just put it in a quarterly format. Okay, so you can see where it quickly went ahead and it changed it to a quarterly format. Now the format menu also allows you to do things like quickly insert columns. So if I wanted to quickly insert a budget column for each of these columns, I could. Or you can come down to the columns option where you can actually define the data in each column. So as I highlight a column, you can see at the bottom I could add or delete columns that are there, but you can define what kind of data you want to see in that column, the date range of data you want, whether you want actual or budget information in the column, for the balance sheet, whether you want book value or market value information, and whether you want to apply a filter to that column. So that's how I could create separate columns that have a different project on them, for example, or a different company on them. And then you can also create calculated columns. You'll see my total column down here is a calculated column. Okay, so it does allow you to define each one of those columns. And then once you make those selections, it also allows you to go ahead and save them using the Save Current As. Now I've done that with a few formats that I created, so I'm just going to load those formats that I created to give you an idea of some of the things you can do. I created this one here, which I'm going to select and load. And this format is giving me both an actual and a budget column for each quarter, and it's also giving me a variance column for that quarter. The other format that I had created actually will give me a separate column for each profit center that I have. And this company that I'm working with is a farm. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK to load that. And you can see here that this farm has 2 different crops we raise, corn and soybeans. So I've created a column that filters it for those individual profit centers. Then I added them together. My 2 crops got added together, and I have a column then for my livestock profit center. And then I added my crops and livestock together. So beyond going ahead and changing the column layouts, one of the other options that you have within financial analysis that you also have in our regular reports is the ability to drill down to the raw data underneath a number. So if I wanted to see what transactions made up this number, I could either double click on this cell, or I could highlight it and go to Edit in Current Cell. And that's going to bring up a search screen, which is going to show me all of the transactions that made up that number. And I can edit those transactions from within this search. Okay, so it does allow you to do a drill down still. Once you create a format, if you wanted to either print it or export it out to an Excel file, you have that option underneath the File menu. So you see you have the option to print the report or to export it. If you're printing it, the page layout selection will allow you to make some formatting changes to the print options. Okay, you can see here on that you can change margins, you could add headers, so it does give you some options there for that. You can also use the File menu to go back to the Properties screen and make any changes you wanted to the selections that you selected when you first created the analysis. As you can see, the analysis just expands on the reporting capabilities within CenterPoint.